Shalom. In my reading of Proverbs, I came across what seems to be an obvious contradiction, at least the way I understand it, and I'm struggling to make sense of it. It's found in Proverbs 26, verses 4 and 5, and it says, "Do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes." The question then is, should we or should we not answer a fool? I know there must be a good answer, and I thank you for your help.
Thank you for your question. Apparent contradictions in the Bible are like speed bumps on the road. They make you slow down and slowly get out of your car to go above, to go above the bump. When we encounter such seemingly opposite sayings, it is because there is a truth in there to be grasped. Let me first tell you how some writers in the Talmud deal with these two verses in Proverbs. They say, no problem. The one refers to the teaching of the Torah, in which case answer. The other things in general, in which case don't answer. They reconcile these two verses by explaining that they are discussing separate incidents. If a fool speaks of mundane things, don't answer. If he addresses matters from the word of God, answer him, lest he thinks he has outsmarted the Torah. This is a good advice and a good way to assess if one should answer an individual or not, but the verses goes beyond making a distinction between the Torah and mundane things. It bids us actually to look at the situation in general. They allow the person who is confronted with the wrong or evil situation to use wisdom and override the fool, all for righteousness' sake. This is what the verses bids us to. These two verses have a way of saying you decide what is best. In other words, let wisdom be a boundary setter for all the knowledge that we could otherwise just keep on giving out. There's an example I want to bring you to, an example that we find in 2 Samuel verses 15 to 17, where we encounter the words of a wise man, Hushai, who was David's counselor. Hushai witnessed Absalom's rebellion against his father David. Here Absalom is the fool, and Hushai is the wise man. In the story, David fled from Absalom to avoid a bloodbath. Once he was outside of Jerusalem, he asked his advisor, Hushai, to go back to the city and offer his services to Absalom and thus lessen the effects of Absalom's folly. Hushai accepted, and he acted in such a way, actually he prevented a war in Israel and saved David's life. How did he do that? How did he introduce himself back to Absalom? This passage, I want to tell you, is a masterpiece of psychological warfare and shows us how one can use words to win a war. It is found in 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 16. Where we hear the words of Absalom. Okay. And so it was when Hushai the Arshite, David's friend, came to Absalom, that Hushai said to Absalom, long live the king, long live the king. But Absalom needed more than that, so he answered him in the next verse, verse 17, is this your loyalty to your friend? Why did you not go with your friend, meaning David? Absalom knew how close Hushai was to David, but Hushai answered in verses 18 to 19. Now consider what he says here.
No, but whom the Lord and this people and all the men of Israel choose, his I will be, and with him I will remain. Furthermore, whom shall I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son? As I have served in your father's presence, so I will be in your presence.
On the surface, this is when one would ask if he is a double spy or if he changed his mask or was he lying. None of the above. This is where we learn something great in the art of speaking. Hushai does not lie, but he so arranges his argument so to win Absalom's trust, so he could save David's life and Israel from collapsing. When he said, long live the king, he did not say, long live Absalom. The king, according to God's promise, is David, not Absalom. When Hushai said that his allegiance is to whom the Lord, and these people choose, Absalom may have thought that he was the chosen one and believed Hushai to be on his side. He foolishly forgot that the Lord and Israel chose David. In the story, those who originally followed Absalom were tricked to believe that he became king of Israel. This also he forgot. In fact, when Absalom died, there was a great rejoicing all over Israel. In this case, Hushai answered a fool, Absalom, according to his folly and pride. He answered for the sake of righteousness and for God's will to be accomplished. This won Absalom over and proved to save David's life. You know, many rabbis understood Hushai's argument. One of them said that Hushai's words were intended to convey that his loyalty was not to the person, but to the institution of the monarchy, whomever God and Israel chose as a leader. So when he says, do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. It bids us to use wisdom for the sake of righteousness and not to trigger the anger of the fool. This then is a case to answer a fool according to his folly, but most of the time, let us not feel obligated to answer any statement or questions if they have no ultimate purpose to edify or point some way to divine counsel.